Tonight we will see Ruben Amorim's Sporting Lisbon take on Man City, and it will be very intriguing for us Man United fans to watch. I want to talk a little bit today about the game I watched Sporting play on Friday against Estrela Amadora. This is the first 90 minutes of Sporting that I've watched, and I want to do a bit of review just based on this game. I know that's not a big sample size. I will also be watching the game against City for more information. But let's have a look into what I found out. So for context, Sporting came into this game first in the league with a perfect record, and Estrella started this game in 16th out of 18 teams. And I was really looking at how Ruben Amorim's formation could help his team against lower league opposition. A lot has been said about us switching to this 3-4-3, and personally, we've played 4-2-3-1 under 5 straight managers. I'm ready for a change. This is a change that is vastly different for a lot of players from what they've played, but there are definitely some positives to what I was seeing. I think a big positive is there are a lot of numbers available on the ball. I think the way it's set up, players are a bit closer together. You've got this good sort of circle or donut, as people have been calling it, and you sort of get close to the opposition goal, and it does help your pressing because I think players are more willing to press knowing there's someone following in behind them. That also helps in the middle of the pitch, and it resulted in Sporting turning over the ball plenty of times, and it really impressed me how direct they were with their attacks. So for an example of that, let's look at the second goal that Sporting scored in this game. So in this first frame, you can see that Sporting have actually got 5 men around the ball, and this is from a goal kick that Estrella have played and have gone short into the centre back. When the tackle eventually goes in, you've got those 5 men and Gyökeres further forward in between the centre backs, which is obviously a mistake, I think, by Estrella to leave them unmarked, or a big sort of leap of faith to trust the centre back in that situation. They turn the ball over quickly, and really good sort of pass forward, and Gyökeres sends this ball straight into the top corner and makes it 2-0. I think his finishes all had really crazy power on them, all smashed into the corners. And it's really important, I think, when you're taking risks like having 6 men forward when the opposition's playing out from the back, you've got to be clinical, otherwise this type of pressing doesn't really pay off. But a good example of how it can there. I think outside of this, the formation provides really good options for players on the ball. There's always someone to pass to. And this opposition sat off a lot, so the ball had to keep on moving. Sporting did well at this. The ball was moving around quite a lot. It was 1 and 2 touch, quite quick, but also very secure because players are taking good touches, good passes, and they have options around them. There's also lots of players making runs, more willing to vacate their sort of positions because there is that security close behind them. I think in the front line, Trincao and Gonçalves made lots of runs from slightly deeper for maybe midfielders or wide players to find them. And Gyökeres honestly did it all. I mean, he played centrally, he ran the wings and the channels. And it's something that we could all obviously imagine Rasmus Højlund also going on to do as well. He might need to bulk up a bit, but the centre-backs really hated playing against Gyökeres in this game. He's so powerful. And once you get them out of position with these turnovers, you can really collapse their defensive structure because they all start scrambling back, trying to get back, and this creates chances and also lowers the chances of getting hit on the counter, except for maybe a really long, straight, hopeful long ball. There's no real method of playing out once you collapse what their structure is. Sporting did this well throughout the game, and that goes for the whole 90 minutes, including when subs were made, which is something that United have failed to do all season. It's really paramount. If you're going to play this way, invest, go for it, and then you give yourself a chance of reaping the rewards. On the flip side, this was a very weak opponent, relatively speaking, in the Portuguese league, and it wasn't all plain sailing in the early part of the game, and I think that the structure of the 3-4-3 had some of the effect on that. Estrella created a few decent chances and really should have been 1-1, but their striker just skied it in front of an open goal. So just to show you this here, there's a very long cross that comes across the box, and as you can see often when you play a back 3, there's a guy at the bottom who's unmarked at the back post. I think that's always the toughest thing, who defends who in the wide areas. When the ball reaches him, he cuts in and shoots, and the keeper parries it. Not the best work by him, but is difficult when something gets powered sort of right at you. And then you see the striker obviously do what he did. I mean, he lay on the floor for a good 30 seconds after this, because how has he missed that? But an example of some of the things you worry about when you play a three at the back. So as I said, the wide areas are really important in how you defend them, because you've got these wing backs who love to go forward and are needed to do that if you want to be a really successful team that scores goals with this formation. But there's a big responsibility on them to not only do that, but also think about when you defend and keep the balance. But all attacking football has that element of risk, and they did get caught out a few times. If you want to win lots of games, you've got to put men forward. And it does mean that this back three had a lot to do in the first half, and they didn't always do it well. So just talking about the Estrela goal here, their goal starts on Sporting's right wing again, and the right wing back is a young man called Quenda. Very good attacking player, is actually an attacker by trade, if you like, if you can say that in such a young career. He's 17 years old. He played well in terms of supporting the forward line, taking players on. And I've seen people suggesting Garnacho could do something similar for us off the left wing. I've got to be honest, I'm not really buying that, and I think this goal illustrates it. When you've got a young attacker here like Quenda, he gets beaten way too easily in the wide area, but it is actually quite a poor cross. This ball still makes it along the ground and actually reaches the striker. And again, keep an eye on number 77 at the bottom of the picture here, which is Estrela's right back. Again, who's going to pick up the right back in a 3-4-3? The shot comes in from the striker, decent shot, the keeper parries it. And then again, this number 77 is unmarked again, because there is not an obvious player to pick him up, and you're taking that gamble of trying to get forward when you can. He eventually crosses it, and there's an open goal then for the striker to head it in. And this happened twice, as I can already show you, within the first half, and is always the worry with a three at the back. And there's a big worry for me with the way these United players play and how they run and invest in what you're asking them to do. I'd say overall, I'm apprehensive about this formation because on first viewing, this is a weak opponent for Sporting to face in the league. And now you compare that to the Premier League, where you scale it up, and that same opponent, relatively speaking, is going to be much better than what they're facing here. I already mentioned this with Agate at the weekend. Some of the things he does are fine when you know you're going to overpower the other team because you're just so much better than them. But in terms of how good we are and how well we're playing, again, I worry about what happens in terms of what you give away defensively. You will get exposed by mid-table teams and above if you can't defend your wide areas, because Premier League teams will rip up the script to play Man United, do something completely different, and they will target the areas of weakness. And if I look at the wide centre-backs who don't want to step out and wingers who don't want to run back, it is definitely a recipe for an opponent to attack in those spaces. There are obviously some benefits though, even when playing weaker teams, because Sporting did win that game very comfortably in the end. You could just overwhelm people, can't you? You can sort of force mistakes out of them, and you have to sort of think, okay, with the better players, that the benefits will be larger and hopefully the mistakes will be fewer in theory. Now, the way these players actually play, I'm not really convinced that that is what is going to happen. But if these players play to their potential, this could be very, very promising, and I'm still open to this formation change because I just think we need something fresh. I think what's clear though is the formation itself will not be a cure for everything, and I think it looks like on the one hand it could eradicate actually quite a few issues that we've been having in terms of creating, getting people in forward positions and hopefully scoring more goals. It's also going to bring that drawback that if you can't fight through it and you can't stick to it and really motivate yourself, which these players don't seem to do, I'm not sure it's going to turn out exactly that way. It's really going to be key how Ruben Amorim communicates this to them and how he makes sure that they believe in it and they actually follow through with it if this is going to be successful. But let's take in Man City tonight and see if anything similar or different happens, and maybe we've got a bit of a better picture where we are once we've seen that. Thanks for watching. I hope this was interesting, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.